Oh, it was the adventure of my life. I had an orange.
Did you?
Oh. I saw a bear kill a man.
Oh, gosh.
And I met the king.
Oh, you didn't, Joe?
You met the king?
Yep.
Oh, Joe.
Went on his boat fishing.
Fishing?
Yeah, he asked me to join his court, but I said, no way, I'm leaving you lot.
Do you have a cool intro to take us in this week to top mine from last week, or
No, what was yours? Oh.
Yo, what up?
Oh, so lame.
No, nothing?
Nope.
Okay. Hello and welcome to Haunted Button House, BBC Ghost podcast. I'm Luke and I'm joined by Tash. How are you doing, Tash?
I'm good, thank you, Luke. How are you?
I'm not too bad. It's a cold, wet morning.
It's so rainy outside. It actually must be really windy because the birds are sort of like as they're flying around.
Yeah, well, yeah, we should probably stop commenting on the weather, just looking at them.
But we're British and we have to talk about the weather.
That's what we do. What have you been up to since the last podcast?
It's been a whole week.
One whole week.
What have we done? Not much, really. I've been watching Broadchurch.
You have, yeah.
And worlds collided and I did not like it.
You kind of explained this to me and I was like, what? No.
So our lovable Pat is in Broadchurch Series 3. No spoilers.
Jim Howick, if you're following the actor.
And he doesn't play a nice character. And it is so weird because I think I've only seen him in Peep Show, Here We Go, and Ghosts. I don't think I've seen him in anything else.
Pretty much. And he's always just like a lovable...
Or like a harmless character.
Yeah, yeah.
And in Broadchurch, he's definitely... it's a difficult one, but...
He's not a harmless character.
No, he's creepy and it isn't nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a bit of a what's going on. I definitely didn't like that, but would recommend Broadchurch if anyone likes police
procedurals.
Yeah,
I think that's what they call
and,
it.
And David Tennant and Olivia Colman. So would recommend.
Fair
I just realised that Olivia Colman and Jim Howick would have already been in Peep Show.
True,
so.
So 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah, absolutely. So, that's a weird one. But yeah, so I've binged that and I've finished it. I think I finished all 3 series in about 2 weeks.
Oh, and that's my morning alarm.
God, yeah. Luke.
There we go. Stop. I'm awake.
I've been awake for so long.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have had some feedback on our last episode. Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry, Luke. What have you been doing this week?
Nothing. So continue.
Caroline agreed that it's really annoying when people in TV shows go to bed with all the lights turned on. Absolutely no wonder there's a cost of living crisis.
Especially when they've got no money.
I know, yeah. When do we ever see them go back to work? We kind of saw them work in one episode and then
maybe they got sacked, yeah.
Probably.
I suppose this episode's on a weekend, so I don't know. Then again, you would do that job on a weekend, surely? I don't know.
I don't know. And yep, so Caroline also mentioned how she likes how the plague ghosts play human Guess Who with the archaeological dig when they're trying to see who's who. Yeah. And Thomas's cheese advert. Although Caroline said, although this is spoiled by the fact that he mentions Jersey milk from Frisian cows, those are 2 distinct breeds of cow. That is very true. Okay, not something I picked up on.
I just wondered if they were from Jersey. I don't know. Frisian cows that lived in Jersey.
But she did say how Thomas isn't really a dairy specialist. So.
That is true.
But the overall was that it was quite a strong episode. And she said, selfishly, I love that one of the ghost hunters has a strong East Midlands accent. Didn't pick up on that. So.
I think it was the guy, the Derek Acora type. I think he had like an East Midlands accent. I think I'm rubbish with accents, though, to be honest.
Yeah,
like,
around me.
Apart from, like, the ones that I speak to daily, I don't pick up on any, so, yeah.
Marianne said, like, that she also wondered how Fanny was able to show up in photographs. And she said, I guess I always just assume that ghostly superpower was more or less random, like, why is Julian able to move things? But she also thought it was a really good episode, and we're becoming more familiar with the ghosts. And she said, but whatever happened to the creepy singing girl in the pantry?
I think we see her briefly in this episode. I think in this one, like, yeah, there's a scene, obviously we'll get into it, but there's a scene of the flashback, and I'm pretty sure that's there's a little girl that runs in front, and I think that's that creepy little girl, but she was only on briefly, so I can't really confirm. If anybody out there knows, then please let us know, because I'm not too sure.
Okay. Right, I'm really sorry to whoever commented this, but you did comment it, and I'm really rubbish. But somebody did say somewhere, or maybe I'm making it up, but I'm sure someone commented it, that the powers of the ghost, so Julian being able to push cups and stuff, is discussed in the book.
You mentioned that to me. That
Yeah,
somebody said
I can't find the comment. Whoever you are, I'm really sorry.
Well, let's move on to the episode, and we'll give them credit later on.
Absolutely.
When you've had time to check.
Sorry.
It can't end it on
Sorry. I found it. Okay.
Who was it?
It was Alison. A different Alison.
A different
not-
Alison.
yeah,
Okay.
Alison. So Alison said, the book explains how Julian got his power. Apparently it was sheer determination. He spent 3 years building up the power to turn the Sun newspaper to page 3 for obvious Julian reasons. That was it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alison. I'm very sorry.
I like that little detail because it's so minor.
Oh, it's so Julian.
It's so in the vein of his character. So yeah,
Definitely.
makes sense. Now we'll get on to the episode.
Okay.
So this week we are looking at episode 2, episode 2 of series 2, entitled About Last Night. It was directed by Tom Kingsley, written by Matthew Bainton and Jim Howick, and the original air date was the 28th of September 2020.
I always feel like that doesn't feel like that long ago.
It doesn't, though.
But then it is nearly 4 years ago, so...
I know, it's mad. Yeah. Anything like in the 20s, I suppose.
Yeah, it
which is
feels like,
just,
that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
I think it's because probably we lost 2 years.
basically, yeah.
We won't go into that.
Yeah. Talking of pandemics, the episode opens with a flashback, and we see a little village in the 1100s, and one of the villagers, who we learn is called Mick, I think. The first time we actually learn any of their names, isn't it?
No, I think in the... I feel like they have, like, sort of alluded to their names.
They just say
Some
their
of them,
names,
They
yeah,
just
yeah.
call them their name. Like, in the other episode when they were like, that one must be whatever his name was. Trevor, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because of his, like, chin situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think they have kind of said their names, but maybe we just haven't picked up on it.
There's enough ghosts to track at the moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, we find that Mick, one of the villagers, has returned from his visit to London, which we find has always been his dream. He mentions that he's brought back... before he brings back the gifts, he says that he had an orange, which you've probably heard all this in the intro quote. He had an orange, he saw a bear kill a man, which is quite a difference from seeing an orange.
I would have expected to see that in London.
I think they used to bring bears. There would have been bears like in the UK back then, I imagine. So.
But in like a city centre.
Yeah, there would have
I
probably...
guess a city centre then doesn't look like a city
very
centre
different.
now.
Yeah. He also said he met the king and he went fishing with him. And history buffs out there you'll have to let us know who the king was during the Black Death. Because
Do you think that was true?
Probably not. He probably
I just don't know why he would lie, though. It seems really bizarre.
It might not have been him lying. He's quite simple, you know what I mean, like, and trusting. So
maybe he thought he met the king.
Yeah, it was just a man who had nice clothes on who said he was the king, you know what I mean? He went fishing with him. But yeah, he says he couldn't stay there because he'd miss everyone in the village far too much. And then says that he's brought them all back some gifts. The first one he shows off is his salt, and he does like a salt bay.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can describe it as. And he also says that he brought them back some pelts. And as he sort of starts distributing them out, he coughs up blood. So we can see that
He's plagued up.
He's plagued up. He's full of the plague. And we, that gets concluded later, but he's basically brought the plague. After the intro, we're back in the present, and we see the captain waiting for Alison to do his sort of morning routine. He gets a bit fed up and starts shouting for her, and we see that Alison and Mike are upstairs in bed with a very bad hangover. Can you remember your last hangover? Because I can't, which is probably a bad thing. Or a good thing. I don't know how you see it. Yeah.
Your 30th birthday, probably.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Anyway, the Alison finally hears the captain shouting, and sort of begrudgingly gets up to the window, starts off the timer, and then just goes straight back to sleep.
I don't think she starts off the timer.
Oh,
I think she just goes ready, set, go.
Yeah. True. Yeah. Somebody else is having
run around.
the morning routine there.
Might be able to hear our cat Shelley, who's she's not doing a very good job as co-host at the moment, is she?
Not really. They go. Alison goes straight back to sleep, and a few hours later, she gets a phone call, and we find out later on that this is a wedding planner. Somebody from it's Isabel from Bell's Weddings. And basically, we find out that they basically applied to be on their books for weddings and stuff like that. But she can only come today to view the house. They try and push it back till later, but she says she can only do 1 o'clock, which is quite soon. I think it gives them like 2 hours, is it? Or
yeah, I think
like
that's
that?
what they say.
They agree to this because they need the money. Alison goes to freshen up and goes about downstairs to sort of freshen up the rest of the house as well. And we see the Kitty sort of running away crying at this point. So this is the first indication that something's off.
Amiss.
Yeah. We see Mike wake up as well, and he starts having flashbacks from the night before. And we basically see that they brought back a lot of their friends from Button House. Button House. From, I don't know, the pub somewhere, wherever they've been. We see Fanny and the captain sort of looking out the window, just upset that this is happening. Because he said it's 12 o'clock, I think, doesn't he? It's far too late for a party.
Definitely.
We see Alison go downstairs, and we see that the entire living room is an absolute mess. There's all of their friends still all over the place. One of them completely naked, which comes into it as well later. Mike goes to sort of say something out of shock or surprise, and realises he's got no voice, as we then see a flashback of Mike beatboxing, or throat boxing, is it, or something like that?
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, which has worn out his throat. We also, Alison at this point is feeling sick. Oh, I forgot to say as well, when they're doing the beatbox raving, we see Mary, Kitty and Robin raving along.
Oh my god. So good.
I really like the Mary and Robin story in this. I mean, we're bringing it up a bit early, but yeah, I like that story all the way through. So because it's an absolute mess, Alison wants to cancel the appointment, but Mike says that they can get it all cleaned up in time. And like they say, they're desperate for the money, so they need this. They agree that Mike will start getting people out of the house while Alison goes to the kitchen to get all of the cleaning stuff. Bin bags, that's it, yeah. As she goes into the kitchen, she's greeted by Thomas, who seems not different, but more forceful again in his sort of wooing. Yeah, I love.
She awakes,
Oh, God.
as radiant as the sunrise itself.
Oh, my mouth tastes like the inside of a bin.
I like how he offers to make her breakfast. Did you catch what he...
No.
He said... It makes me heave just thinking about it. And I'm really bad for heaving. He offers to make her lamb's kidney for breakfast. Now, if you were hungover, that would tip you over the edge, I think.
Although it's weird because when you're drinking, and after you've finished your night out, you go for a kebab, which is lamb as well, isn't it? So,
No.
well, not everybody, I suppose. So, but a lamb's kidney is a bit much. Yeah.
I'd rather eat cheese. No, definitely. That would just be absolutely disgusting. But obviously, maybe it's got some kind of remedy in it that he thinks would help her. But
everyone seems to have a hangover remedy and I don't know one that works. Cup of tea usually helps me out a lot. That sort of gets me back on track. I don't know if there's something in there. Have you got any ones for anybody out there? Lucozade, no.
Lucozade. Yeah, maybe. Lucozade and cheese on toast.
Okay, well there you go. Yeah,
with a bit of Liam Perrins on there.
It just sounds like you're just having a nice breakfast. To be fair, I don't know if it's a hangover cure. So when she asks him what's wrong, Thomas says that she said something last night that touched his heart, and she starts going back over what she might have said. So she starts recalling what happened, and we see that Alison says to him, they're just talking, and she says that she considers he's part of the family, and she thinks it's that. We also see Thomas, after he's been told this, is dancing along in his Regency way, I suppose, to this like current music. She also says that she meant what she said as well, which doesn't help, as we find out later what she actually meant. We see Mike talking to his friends. One of them is the guy from Benidorm, if anybody has ever watched Benidorm.
I think he's the host of the BBC Ghosts podcast.
He is, yes.
Isn't he?
Yeah, I can't remember the actor's name.
No, I cannot remember.
So we should probably look that up, because he's a recurring character as well. He's come up again.
But yeah, I think he does the podcast.
Okay. He comments that Mike sounds like Batman because he's got no voice. Yeah. And then when Alison comes back in, she wonders why he has no shoes on. I don't know if it's at this point that he has the flashback or if it's later on, but
it's when he sees the shoe on the floor.
Yes, that's it. Yeah,
so at this point, he goes to see the archaeologists in the basement.
It. Yeah, because they start drilling, don't they? Yeah. So, he goes down to the archaeologist to basically tell him to stop, because this is not helping their heads at all. And when he goes down there, the archaeologist kind of gives his final thoughts about the plague ghosts. Oh, not the plague ghosts. He doesn't know they're ghosts, but the plague victims.
Remains.
Yeah. He says that basically there was no other plague in any of the surrounding villages, so it had to have been brought here, and they think it was carried on. The plague came with fleas that were on fur cloths. Which we now put two and two together, that it was mixed gifts that basically killed everyone.
Do you think he's known all this time?
He definitely knew that he was the start of it, I think. But whether he thought it was the gifts or him, or I don't know. Who knows?
Guilty.
As they all look at Mick, though, he does say, "Oh, it could be anybody." But yeah, we find out. Well, I mean, we knew this, that all the other villagers caught the plague and died as well, which I think is there's a real story about that isn't there? There was like a village that somebody got the plague there, and they basically isolated themselves off to stop it spreading. And like I don't know if everybody in the village died, but a lot of people in the village died. But it stopped.
How did they die if they isolated themselves off?
No, they got the plague, but they isolated themselves to stop it spreading. So I think
it wouldn't surprise me if they based these plague ghosts on
that story.
Yeah, or some similar story.
I reckon so. Yeah. This archaeologist says, he makes this connection, and at this point, Mick starts saying sorry, and they all start saying, "I don't think sorry's going to cut it." We then go back upstairs and see Alison is tidying the living room now. The captain and Pat arrive, and they both say that they want to watch their TV shows.
The captain wants to watch Guernsey's Nazi Past.
That's it, yeah.
I was like, we're going there.
We can find out.
And Pat wants the football on.
Yes, yeah. He seems he's just going through all of the football matches that he's missed, isn't he?
It's a good job they've got it on videotape.
I know, yeah. Or YouTube these days. I suppose you can just get any game up. That's madness. But there's clearly some tension between the two, and they're annoyed with one another. We also see Kitty arrive at this point, and she's also still upset and leaves again. Mary and Julian arrive, and they start offering their hangover advice to Alison, which makes her more sick. I can't remember the exact...
So I wrote down. Yeah. So Julian's was hair of the dog.
Yes,
so
yeah.
I think I have tried that before.
Yeah.
Can confirm it doesn't help.
It kind of works immediately because you're drunk again, but as soon as you stop drinking, you feel even worse.
Yeah. And Mary's hangover cure was soak mushrooms in milk of the goat and vinegar until warm and musty.
So that doesn't sound great.
No. No.
But Alison has a better idea as they point out that there's a bottle of Coke there, and that'll definitely help her out. But as she picks it up and drinks it, we realise that it's full of cigarette ends. So, yeah.
It reminds me of that, Ring of Fire when you have to pour and then people just put anything in and you have to drink it
at the end. Yeah. That's a student game, pretty much. I think everyone's almost done this once, is drink something with somebody's put a cigarette into at a party.
I haven't.
Have you not done it?
No, because
No, but not saying everybody's done it, but I think you've almost done it. Go look at it and go, oh no, because you see something floating in it.
I'm very specific about what liquid I drink.
Okay, fair enough.
I wouldn't have just picked up a random drink.
Well,
because you shouldn't do that at parties.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. So Alison starts getting berated by Fanny and the captain for everything that happened last night, but she insists to Fanny that nothing was damaged. They're tidying up all the mess. It's going to be fine. At this point, the naked man from the who's been on the sofa all this time awakens, horrifying Fanny, who sort of flees in disgust, and then the captain is kind of interested by this, in his typical. What does he say now? He says, "Dear Lord," or something like that. It's
Good Lord.
Good Lord, yeah, something like that. So once Fanny's out of sight, Thomas appears and starts asking Alison where Dante went. Alison's a bit confused, and we find out that Dante is the stuffed dog from the entrance hall, who is Fanny's stuffed dog, basically.
I really liked from the flashback when he had the little glasses on.
I don't remember the glass. I remember the piano bit.
No, he had they had like glasses, like sort of circular sunglasses.
Yeah.
And they had like a little tiny pair for Dante. I was like, He looks like Shelley when Shelley wears her glasses.
Sunglasses that she doesn't like to wear. So this, as you mentioned, this gives us another flashback. And I do like this about this episode where we constantly get these flashbacks.
Yeah, I like
through
that
the episode. Because you kind of figure out the mystery at the same time as the characters do.
Yeah, it's good.
We start seeing them playing with Dante, and see that Alison basically was taking it around with her in the party. We see Kitty trying to join in, and we start to see the sort of beginnings of why she's so upset here. Is she's trying to talk? Oh, she's trying to get in the picture, isn't she? With all of them. Pat also at this point in the flashback goes to tell them to keep the noise down because the captain's basically told him to go and tell them to turn it off. And Alison tells Pat to send a message back to the captain to stick it. And we can see at this point Pat kind of wants to join in the party.
Yeah, definitely.
But is a bit discouraged and goes back to sort of relay the message.
Because he lifts his shorts
Yeah.
like a child that's like, I want to play.
Yeah. We go back to the entrance hall and Alison sees that Dante the dog is missing. And the ghosts say that Dante's more than an ornament to Fanny. She was a canine companion and she loved it more than her own child. The captain says this is all completely out of order, and he threatens that he's going to tell Fanny, but is immediately sworn to secrecy as soon as Alison threatens that she's going to stop him watching his war documentaries. He's quick to change his tune on that one. We see Mike outside now, as you said. He finds his shoe, and he has a flashback to him throwing shoes onto the roof. With him and his friend are just throwing shoes onto the house, and we also see Robin joins in as well, and throws Humphrey's head.
Oh,
Humphrey sees up for it.
I know, and then he was like, "I did not think this through."
Immediately regrets his decision. And again, we flash back, not flashback.
I like the idea of Humphrey just be like, "Yeah, just throw my head on the roof." That sounds like a great idea.
That's the point. Can he not make his head fall through stuff? Do you know, the ghosts can go through walls and floors and stuff? Surely you can make his head do that, or maybe because he's disconnected from his body, he doesn't have a choice. Yeah, who knows?
But you'd think his body wouldn't be able to go through, but his head would be able to. If you know what I mean.
Not sure. We need the full science of these ghosts. Yeah. We also see, inside the house we see the captain getting this message sent back to him. I like how Fanny's confused by the message of stick it, and he replies, presumably on my bottom. He's annoyed by this and tells Pat to pass on another message at this point.
I'm still laughing. Presumably on my bottom.
It's a good deduction.
It's a good line.
He tells Pat to pass on another message. And we also see Robin and Mary outside after Robin's thrown this head. And they sort of seem... It's kind of like, do you know when two teenagers like each other and they kind of are mean to one another? It's kind of like the beginnings of that.
I don't know if I missed it in the episode, but it kind of came out of nowhere and isn't really resolved. Is it resolved in the next episode?
They kind of just, at the end of the episode, just say, oh, we'll just stay friends. And I don't think they ever bring it up.
Why it's... maybe it's just...
Because it's a party. At parties, people do that, I suppose.
But, it just seems really random. I just don't really get it, but yeah.
I mean, I liked it.
I liked it.
I know what you mean. Is it
But it just didn't seem... It seemed slightly out of character.
For both of them, yeah.
Especially for Mary, but I don't know. Anyway.
So they've only got 2 hours to tidy this up. So Alison is trying to look for Dante, and then we also realise that At this moment, the plague ghosts have all appeared. They start making Alison feel sick as she looks at them, basically.
This reminded me of Kelsey's question. Kelsey, if you're listening.
Yes.
Plague ghosts can come up.
They can, yeah. They very much can.
They very much can. They just very much choose not to.
It's because people keep making comments about that they look horrible, probably.
They look horrible and smell.
Yeah. So they come upstairs and, immediately turn Alison's stomach with all their ailments, basically.
It's their teeth.
Yeah.
I think that's... I was looking at their teeth and I did think, how do they get their teeth to look so bad? As in the costume.
Do you know what I reckon they do? Like, do you know that charcoal soap or something like that? I reckon they put that there to black them.
They're all crooked as well.
Oh, okay.
It's really it's just weird. That was the one bit I was like, how do they do their teeth?
If we ever go to one of these Q&As with the stars, we'll say, how did you do teeth?
They'll probably never do that.
Well,
no,
you never know.
They will though.
So the reason why they've come upstairs is because they tell us Mick killed us all.
Right, find the dog, clean up. 2 hours. Oh my word! What are you doing up here?
Oh, we're actually going to live up here now, actually?
Mick killed us all.
Which is not remotely
No, we can't be sharing the place with these plebeians.
What?
He gave us all the plague.
But no fear, as Julian sets about his task to get them all to basically agree to go back downstairs because they don't want to go back downstairs while Mick's there. And Julian says he's got a history of inquiries, but usually it's nice. Well, it'll be nice that he's the one doing the inquiry for a change. And he also calls them oiks, which I thought was like...
What does that mean?
It's like for a word for a poor person, I think, basically.
Horrible.
So I feel like immediately off on the back foot. He says quite a few things in this where it's just like, yeah, he's really not winning over people, is he, a lot? So yeah, while this is happening, Alison gets a bit more time to actually tidy up and also search for Dante, the dog. We see that Cap... I put him as Cap now. I just remind me of Captain America. Very different. Cap and Pat, there we go. Are still at odds throughout all this. They can't get on. We see Mike actually get onto the roof to try and retrieve his shoes. As he's going up there, Humphrey says, don't do it, mate, whatever you think. And as he's sort of climbing up onto the roof, he manages to catch the sort of thing that's holding the door open or the window open onto the roof. So he traps himself on there, and obviously he can't shout because he's got no voice. So as the archaeologist is sort of leaving, he can't get his attention and he drives away, trapped on the roof.
I got a problem here.
Okay.
You're on the roof. You've hurt your voice. You can't shout. You can't speak.
Yeah.
But you're surrounded by objects that you could throw off the roof and get his attention.
Which he does.
Does he?
He throws a shoe.
Does he?
Yeah.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, he throws a shoe.
No, he doesn't.
You were joking.
No? I must have missed that.
He starts throwing shoes to try and get his attention, but he's already driving away at that point.
Well, why didn't he throw the shoes sooner?
I don't know.
That's the first thing I would do.
That's a silly thing, I suppose, yeah, but he leaves it too
I
late.
must have missed that. I probably was too busy writing, why doesn't he throw a shoe, to realise that he does throw a shoe.
Yeah, you're looking away from the screen as that was happening. We get another flashback at this point as Alison's coming down the stairs. We see Julian explaining to her so she can explain to her friend how to make a long and strong, which just sounds like vodka. Mainly
and
vodka. Yeah. Does he put rum in it as well?
I'm sure it says spiced rum.
Oh, okay, yeah. It just seems like it's mainly that and a tiny bit of Coke. So yeah, that will be strong. And this is where we see Alison spill red wine on Dante. Kitty suggests that she should use white wine to get it out. but she ignores. Alison ignores the suggestion and listens to a friend who suggests to put salt on it.
Don't know what that was gonna do.
No, maybe she was thinking
Soak
of like
it up.
bicarb. Do you know, like some people say bicarb, but just confused it with salt. She tries that, and then she suggests white wine, which Kitty gets upset about. She suggested it first. We see Fanny back in the present, sort of chiding Alison because Mike's walking around half naked, which sort of prompts Alison to think, what is Mike doing? Why is he not helping? Not realising that he's trapped on the roof. We then see Julian starting his debate with the plague ghosts.
Did you see what was on the fridge?
No. Go on.
Rude. Someone had drawn something rude in cream on the fridge.
Oh, really?
And Alison wipes it away.
I forgot. Yeah, I didn't see that bit. See, we're both missing things. It's like we're at this party, I think. Julian's trying to start his debate with the plague ghosts. And he actually tries to convince them that Mick didn't bring the plague with him, to which he's immediately undone in his argument because Mick, being the honest person, says, no, I definitely did. So he's sort of having no luck there. We see another flashback with Alison now, and this is where she's got Dante playing the piano with everybody. Pat comes down into the party, presuming to pass on this message, but decides, sod it, I'm joining this party, and just starts doing his best dance moves. Now, his dance moves and the way he's dressed and everything about him. Do you know Monsters University?
Yes.
Do you know when
Who's my kappa?
when they're all dancing, it looks like the mix between the old man dancing and the one that's like goo.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm
What's
talking
his
about?
name?
I have no idea his name, yeah. But it just reminded me so much of that because of his like dad dance moves or
I
something.
think it's the moustache.
Yes,
to be
yeah,
fair.
yeah.
I like it when he says "naff off, you wazzock."
Well, yeah. So yeah, the captain comes down and comes down to basically have a go at him for not resisting his urges, and as you said.
Stop it! Stop it! Patrick! What on God's green earth do you think you're playing at now? I sent you down here to stop this nonsense, and now you're joining in, carousing. You are a spineless little traitor. Oh, naff off, you wazzock!
Yes!
You'll see. Right.
As everybody cheers, I think Alison cheers actually, and it gets everybody cheering at Pat dancing. We see Kitty again try to talk to Alison, and she now thinks that Alison hates her because she's ignoring her. We see Robin and Kitty have Robin and Mary having another moment on the stairs at this point. They sort of look into each other's eyes and sort of, I don't have to explain what they Also, we see Julian acting like he's in a strip club, which is, very Julian, but also very disrespectful to the people dancing. We then see Alison now think that she's left Dante in the piano because of, playing the piano with Dante. She goes over to the piano and doesn't find him there, and she realises she's running out of time.
I'm not sure if you've gone past it. I just need to point out when Kitty is crying.
Yeah.
And Robin says, "Let it all out. I always feel better after a little cry."
Which
that was so sad.
I've never seen Robin cry. Yeah.
No, but it's just really sweet. Like it's, I don't know. You just wouldn't expect him to say it, and also it's kind of like really comforting in that moment for Kitty.
I think it's that gets them to have a little moment, isn't it? Yeah. So, we see Pat and Cap. You see Pat and the captain wandering around together looking for Dante, and Fanny sees them and starts to get a bit suspicious about what's going on here. Mary comes in about to say, she starts to say Dante and just says Daniel. And then starts doing, she says she's doing a song about nice names. Just goes off to list some names. Did you have any of the names? Or that's
I'm sure she said like Clive.
Okay,
like,
yeah. Good name. Good name.
Solid.
At this point, Robin appears and they run into each other again. And then we see their flashback as they put Kitty to bed. And then we see Robin and Mary have... they sort of lock eyes that keeps cutting between them. Robin's eyes roll up into his head. I mean, it's implied something happens here, but I mean, they're ghosts, so I don't... Yeah.
I didn't get that implication.
Because it's a party, that's what I thought. And it's like, that's sort of... I don't know. That's... I don't know. There's definitely an implication there, I think. But again...
The implication.
Yeah. But I don't know what would... Yeah, anyway.
Nah.
Leave that to people's imaginations.
No.
Oh, yeah, it was this point that Mike's trying to get the attention of the archaeologist.
Tony.
Yes.
Is it Tony or is that his friend? Because I put... Why does... So... Even though I mentioned it before, I've written here, why does Mike not chuck a shoe at Tony to get his attention?
Yeah.
So maybe...
He definitely does try to do this. I wrote an architect. No wonder I didn't realise what he was doing. He's not an architect, he's an archaeologist. Yeah. But yeah, doesn't manage to get his attention as he drives away. So he decides the only solution there is for me to climb down the drain pipe, which is never a good idea.
No.
They all sort of, the ghosts and Alison converge on the stairs, and they all say that they haven't found Dante. Kitty says that she knows where he is, but she is really annoyed and doesn't want to tell them. And we find out why she's so annoyed. Well, we know why she's so annoyed. But then we see the flashback of Alison saying, but I did talk to you and I told you how I could talk to you. And she was pretending to talk to somebody called Kitty on the phone so she could talk to her. But Kitty didn't realise that she was talking to her.
She said it thought it was another Kitty.
Yes. So as soon as she's explained that, she immediately switches and says, oh, that's okay then. And then when asked where the dog is, she says, have you tried looking at the front of the house? That's where he usually is. So it's absolutely useless.
At least she's happy now. Though.
True, that is true. Yeah, she's stopped being upset. We go back to Julian and the plague ghosts. They're still arguing, and Julian is quite out of his depth as some of them go in to accuse Mick of killing their kids, which is true, I guess. They continue searching for the dog. Thomas again comes back to Alison, and this is where we see the flashback of what Thomas is actually referring to as Thomas walks Alison home, i.e. to her bed. And then Alison says to Thomas that if she was 400 years younger, if she'd never met Mike, and all, I can't remember the other thing.
And if he wasn't dead.
She would have definitely given Thomas a shot.
I think it was if she was 400 years older.
Sorry, yeah.
Otherwise, she wouldn't be alive.
Non-existent, yeah. Yes, 400 years older. Yes, she said she'd give him a shot. And Thomas floats away like an angel through the door. There's even like the choral music as he floats away. And this is where Alison realises and is absolutely horrified and kind of says, oh, I was really drunk, I didn't mean it, and all that. But yeah, that's
too late.
It's too late. Yeah. But this is where Alison finally puts it together of what happened. She realizes that she took Dante to bed with her. And as she goes back to her bed, she finds him still there.
A bit worse for wear.
Bit mangled. So we finally go back to the plague ghost and Julian, and I think at this point he's lost his patience with them, and instead of trying to solve the issue, basically insults them all. He says they smell. What else does he say?
He says, that's the problem with the common man. Doesn't know when to shut up and listen to the voice of reason.
That's it, yeah.
Classic politician.
Yeah, it's very much a...
Tory.
it's very much an old school, like conservative politician, I think, there. Or at least a parody of that, anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they all decide... Well, at this point, they all think... it's actually better to just be all together downstairs with each other rather than upstairs with this guy. So he did manage to unite them all in something, in their hatred of him, basically. So we see Alison fixing Dante. It's I noted.
Stuffing him.
Yeah,
Stuffing.
so she sort of breaks his legs back into position, and we get an extended stuffing scene where they just are just stuffing him full of tissues.
I was thinking though, the ghost of Dante isn't there.
That's true, yeah.
So he must have moved on.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, he'd have died before. Well, I assume before Fanny, anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, he must have moved on.
Yeah. He's happy.
Well,
have you ever seen a dog that's got unfinished business?
well.
Yeah. Which begs the question: what's the pigeon got left to do? It's like I'm not moving on until.
I suppose he died in quite a horrendous way.
That is true.
He got eaten by a dog.
I mean, most animals do, don't they?
Yeah, true.
Anyway, on that grim note, so they realise it's still wet at this point as well, and they're running out of time because Fanny's arriving as well. She's sort of walking down the stairs, so they realise they have to move quick, and they put her by the fireplace to dry off. And when Fanny comes in, she asks them why they've put the dog there, and Alison says, they just wanted to try out a new spot for Dante, basically. And we see...
She says he did like the fire.
Well,
so.
she screws up her face like she's going to be angry and about to shout, and they're all a bit like... and then, yeah, like she said, she says, he always used to sit there when he was alive, I guess. She walks away happy. We see at this point the I can't remember the woman's name I said from earlier. The Isabel. That's it. Isabel from the wedding company is arriving. As we see, Mike is still hanging from the drain pipe. Alison goes to go outside with the bags of rubbish and realizes she doesn't want to take them past, which I don't understand why. Like, sure, you're just throwing out some rubbish, you know what I mean? That's not... But anyway, she decides she can't do that, so she goes back inside and goes to sort of put all those into the into a cupboard. We also forgot to mention that the captain and Pat sort of make up at this point.
Yeah.
As they all realise it's not been worth all this fighting, and also Robin and Mary decide let's just stay friends. But yeah, so she goes to put the bin bags in a cupboard before going outside. However, as she goes outside, it's kind of like a what's it called now? A Rube Goldberg machine, is it? Where it's just like constant things just set off other things, like a mousetrap.
My words were, "What a catastrophic turn of events!"
Yes, it is. I mean, I'll just list out what happens in order, and then the episode ends basically. But the cupboard with the bins all fly out, which manages to shoot I think it shoots like a button or something like that at the armour, which falls over, knocking paper into the fireplace, which sets Dante on fire. The drain pipe falls off because Mike's holding on to it, so he lands safely, surprisingly. But this sprays all of the pigeons.
Yeah, that's what Humphrey said it was.
Yeah, the pigeon poo from earlier into his face, which finally gets on Alison's stomach as she's been sort of teetering on the verge of this whole episode as she throws up as the episode ends. So, yeah, that's the end of the episode.
Oh.
What did you think?
I really enjoyed this episode.
It's a good one.
I enjoyed that it was just... There wasn't really any interaction from anyone else.
Yeah.
It was just the ghosts Alice and Mike in the house. I mean, we see the archaeologist a little bit, and obviously the friends that have been at the party a little bit, but ultimately it's just the ghosts and Alison and Mike, and I really like it. Think it's got some funny moments. Yeah, just a solid episode, I think. Yeah. I really enjoyed it. It was easy sort of watching and get through. But yeah.
I really liked it as well. I liked that it's like this mystery, I guess. It's not really a mystery. Well, the mystery is where's the dog. So of this all the way through it. And with the flashbacks, I like Lost. So anytime there's flashbacks in something, I'm always like, oh, I quite like the way they've done this. And I also like that the plague ghosts got quite a big role in this.
We definitely learn more about them and sort of why they're down in the basement.
Well, how they ended up there. But I think this back to back with the first episode, I think this series has really stepped up from the last one. Don't get me wrong, I like series 1 as well, but I think this has had a really strong start, and I'll be interested to. Again, I've seen it before, but it's trying to remember what the episode is. But next week, I can't
remember. Yeah. Like, I just cannot. So much. I remember bits of what happens, but not really. Like, I do feel like as I watch these episodes again, I'm watching them for the first time. And I suppose it was ultimately nearly 4 years ago that we watched it. It's kind of. It does feel new because I can't remember what happened last week, let alone what happened in episodes.
When did we start watching it for the first time? Now, I know this is completely off of the episode, but when did we actually start watching it? Because we didn't watch it from the very beginning when it was on.
Not from the very beginning, no. Yeah. But I think, I don't know.
Yeah. It was around, like, it was one of those ones in COVID, wasn't it, where it was like, we need TV shows to watch, and so I think we probably started series 3, I reckon. I reckon that was probably the first one. That would
have been 2021 then, maybe.
I reckon that's probably when we
have watched a few series live.
Yeah, that's what I think. I reckon we've watched from 3 live, but like we caught up with 1 and 2. That's a guess anyway. Complete conjecture here, so no information that you can take away with you, just guessing. But anyway, what would you rate this episode?
I really struggle because I really enjoyed it, but it seems strong to give it an 8. I know exactly how you feel with that. This is exactly why I was so low scoring on the first series episodes, because I knew that I'd get to this point where I'm going to just be like IMDb, where everything's like a 7.8 or a 7.9. It's really difficult. I understand that I probably should have thought about this before. I'm gonna go with an 8. I really enjoyed it, and I think based on what I've already watched, I would put it at an 8.
Yeah.
And even put it at an 8 knowing what's coming up, because there's, I'd say, like 10 out of 10 episodes coming up.
That's the thing. It's not like the best episode. I gave it an 8 as well. So, but I was the same thing. I was like, this seems like I'm scoring it too high. But then I didn't like it any less than last week. So, but yeah. So
it's hard. I'd be interested if any listeners feel like giving us their out of 10s. I'd be interested to see what you think in comparison to IMDb and in comparison to what we think. So are you enjoying this series better than the first series, or do you think the same as us, that there's better episodes coming up? Let us know, because I would be interested to know what you think.
I think also getting a fan's perspective, especially like people who are listening to this, is probably more interesting than going on IMDb, because again,
what was the IMDb score?
With 670 votes, it was a 7.8. So it's pretty much the same every week.
Every week.
Because it doesn't have because it's individual episodes, not a series as a whole as well. I don't think as many people rate individual episodes.
Yeah, true.
As I said, 670 is not a lot. Like when I used to do other ratings and stuff for another show, there was like more to go off of, but that was because it was a TV show from like 10 years ago, from like 20 years ago. So you got more people like doing it. So
yeah,
I'd be more interested in what listeners of the show would rate it. So yeah, if you do have a rating, let us know.
Okay, so this week in whatever this segment we need
Tasha's
to come
spooky
up with.
segment.
Tasha's spooky.
I might stick with that actually. For now.
Spooky segment. There you go. That's the theme tune.
I might come up with a theme tune for the next one, and then I'll preview it you live.
Okay. Oh, that would be great.
Yeah.
Okay. So this week I decided. So I was keeping the theme of looking at buildings, houses. So and we're at the moment looking at just any in the UK. So sticking with down south in London, we're looking at 284 Green Street, Enfield.
No.
So
I've heard of this one.
okay.
It's the only one that I think I've actually, well, apart from the one that I live next door to, but you know, the manor house.
Oh,
In the
I was like,
Yeah, I had a ghost, doesn't it?
so you know a bit about this, maybe it's quite So obviously I'll get into it, but it's like, I don't want to say pop culture. I'd say it's got that kind of thing. So, the Enfield poltergeist was a claim of supernatural activity at 284 Green Street, a council house in Brimsdown, Enfield, London, England, between 1977 and 1979. Some members of the Society for, and I can't set psychical.
Can I have a look? Psychical, I think.
Research. SPR. Such as, so members of that society, such as inventor Maurice Grosse and writer Guy Lyon Playfair, believed the haunting to be genuine, while others such as Anita Gregory and John Beloff were unconvinced and found evidence incidents were fake for the benefit of journalists. So you have to make up your own mind here. In August 1977, single parent Peggy Hodgson called the Metropolitan Police to her rented home at 284 Green Street in Enfield, London, saying she had witnessed furniture moving and that 2 of her 4 children had heard knocking sounds on the wall. The children included Janet, aged 11, and Margaret, aged 13. A police constable reported witnessing a chair wobble and slide but could not determine the cause of movement. Later claims included disembodied voices, loud noises, toys thrown, overturned chairs, and children levitating. Members of the Committee for the Scientific Investigation of Claims of the Paranormal, the CSICOP.
What's that? What would you say? If you say it as one word, CSI, COP, CSCOP. Yeah, something like that.
So, members of the committee, including stage magicians such as Milbourne Christopher and Joe Nicol, criticised paranormal investigators for being too credulous, whilst also identifying elements of the case that as being indicative of a hoax. I can't speak today. I don't know what's wrong with me. Also, they're using really big words.
Indicative.
The story attracted press coverage in British newspapers, it has been mentioned in books, featured in televisions and radio documentaries, and dramatised in the 2016 film The Conjuring 2.
So that's where I know it from. Obviously, okay. I don't think a nun threw somebody out the window in the actual version of the story.
I think I watched that as well.
Yeah, we both watched it.
So in 2023, a play entitled The Enfield Haunting was announced, starring Catherine Tate, to be premiered at Theatre Royal... Oh, I cannot speak! To be premiered at Theatre Royal Brighton and Richmond Theatre before moving to the Ambassadors Theatre in London from the 30th of November 2023 to the 2nd of March 2024. So I wonder if any of our listeners went to see this. Yeah.
Or if they've seen The Conjuring 2.
Or if they've seen The Conjuring 2. On the 27th of October 2023, Apple TV debuted the Enfield Poltergeist mini-series, filming the documentary of a recreated set of the allegedly haunted house at 284 Green Street. utilising actors lip syncing to the original tape recordings, archival video footage, and modern day interviews with living witnesses of the events.
I remember seeing this actually on there, advertised on.
It sounds quite good, actually.
Yeah. Well,
definitely be interested in watching it. Yeah. So yeah, it was actually quite difficult to find a lot of information about what was witnessed in the 70s,
especially for quite a famous case as well.
It was more like dramatisations of what happened, and I guess you can't really sort of thingy, but I can't remember what it was called. There's basically two, I think they're sisters or cousins. It's called like, it begins with C, something fairies, and these two sisters, or call them sisters, took photographs of what they said were fairies, and like absolutely categorically said it was 100% real until I think very recently one of them might have passed, and then they were like, we were just joking.
Right,
because it kind of gave me like vibes of that. I probably should have looked into that more before we started recording.
Do you know the Loch Ness monsters like that as well? Like the first picture of the Loch Ness monster, they've like at the time they said, yeah, that's a hoax, we made it all up, it's not real. But people are still like now like hunting this down.
So like convinced that it's
like,
real.
No, they actually lied. And it's like, oh,
because that would be a lot easier to like process than actually thinking the Loch Ness monster's real.
Well, yeah.
It's like people don't believe Bigfoot's real, but obviously it is.
Well, yeah, we've seen him on what was that, Harry and the Hendersons? Was he Bigfoot, was he? I don't know. I can't remember that TV show. It was just like, there was like a Bigfoot like man living with a family. I don't know if I've dreamed that up. Like that sounds...
I think you might have. But we can sell that. Sell the idea. But yeah, I thought it was interesting. Interesting place. I mean, I'm assuming people live in the house. No?
Yeah, it's an interesting difference as well, because it's like a council house rather than like a big stately manor.
Where you would expect,
Yeah.
There isn't really much that talks about why there could have been ghosts there, which kind of, I mean, obviously we've discussed previously, you're quite sceptical, where I'm maybe more open to the suggestion of ghosts. But here, in this instance, I think those two girls will probably,
yanking everyone's chain.
Yeah, using some fishing wire to move some chairs or something. But then the police constable would have surely seen that was being used. Like, because when you look at something in a photograph or on video, it's a lot easier to not see the fishing wire move the chair or something, but in real life, like, you'd pick up the chair, you'd look at all the legs of the chair. How would they have convinced the police constable in real life that this was real?
They're really easily tricked by magic tricks and stuff like that, and they just got one over on them. The question is though, how did they miss the crooked man chasing that little kid down the hallway? It was in the film.
I watched this film like ages ago. Like, I do not remember it at all. Yeah,
they embellished a lot of stuff in there. I think what is it called? That the ghost hunting like family from America. I can't remember. They're called. In the first one, because they come over and they say, that never happened. Like, they didn't come over there. It'd be like Scooby-Doo and the gang turning up your way. But that would have been good.
Oh, that's good as well, Scooby-Doo.
I've just unlocked a memory there for you by the looks of it.
Love Scooby.
Oh, right.
Well, there we go. So, 284 Green Street, Enfield.
There you go. Check it out, or don't.
Or don't check it out. It might be someone's house.
Yeah.
We don't endorse.
Yeah, don't just turn up at some random person's house. Yeah. And anyway, that's the end of the episode this week, isn't it?
Yep.
I think. So if you want to get in touch with us, is it me that usually does this, or is it you?
I think it normally makes you don't remember what
the
things
I know. I just hit that and I was like, I don't remember what the things are called.
Funny that.
Should we?
So you can
I'll let you do.
Instagram at Haunting Button House.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Facebook page, I'm kind of posting everything to that as well now. So you can follow us on our Facebook page, and that's where I normally share to like all of the various ghost groups. So you can follow that as well if you want to, but we obviously don't check that as much.
Mm-hmm.
And you can email us at hauntingbuttonhouse@outlook.com. God, really slipping the standards today, aren't we?
To be fair, like I said, we recorded this on early morning, and
And the episode's going to, you'll know if you're listening to it, it's going to be late this week. So it's been hectic, but we're doing it, and it's going to be there for you. So,
what was I going to say as well? The YouTube. We've noticed some people commenting on YouTube as well.
Yeah,
so if you do,
we're going to keep checking that for comments and stuff as well.
Yeah, because the episode gets auto posted there. So if you ever want to leave a comment, just drop it on YouTube as well, and we'll see. Anywhere else people can get touch? Mail? I don't know.
Look on the link tree.
Turn up. Yeah.
But yeah, if you have any questions or feedback on the show or on ghosts in general, then we'd love to hear it. So just, let us know. We'll like to hear from you.
Fair enough. I think with that, we just say...
Drift away.
Drift away.
Sail away, sail away.
Your endings are getting strange.